start building it up. Okay, I will show you on Excel, and I'll have a sample document that I'll upload as well for you guys to practice on. Okay, so basically, in simple terms, right, what a dashboard is in Excel, it's a visual tool that you can use that will help you see and understand your data. So this is useful for your data analytics. So you notice, like, obviously, like, if I'm going to give you data, right? Is it easier for you just to read a whole bunch of data, or would it not be simpler for you to rather look at it in the form of a chart? Like, to you guys, which one would be easier?
A chart.
A chart, right? So because that just gives you a better visual representation of what is going on, and that is what the concept basically of you know, your visualization is, or creating a dashboard is. So data analytics, there's a lot of aspects to it. I mean, obviously, when we're more used to the one you know, that involves your formulas and your sum ifs and all of those kinds of things, and that's all fine and well, right? We're not changing anything in terms of that, but what we are looking at is just adding another layer to that when it comes to a dashboard. And you don't even need your VBA really when it comes to your dashboard. That's the nice thing. Okay, so you don't need to know coding. It's not really a super necessity. You do need to know how to use pivot tables though, and how to, you know, organize your data. That is very important, and we're going to go through that you know, over the course of this lesson. Another important thing that I need to really emphasize on is that you know, due to the approach basically that we've seen that happened with the previous assessments, a lot of students were flagged for plagiarism, and you know, they were resorting to AI and all of those kinds of things. Obviously, to avoid that, we won't take the actual example from, you know, your actual assignments and do that, because at the end of the day, we don't need to be putting ourselves in a position whereby, you know, a lot of you guys have the same work, or a lot of you guys, you know, maybe someone shares the work with someone else, and then, you know, everyone just starts having answers that look very similar, or dashboards that look very similar, and then there's that whole you know, plagiarism thing. I think that's something that we can avoid. However, the principles and in doing stuff similar to your assessment will come. And the main thing is that you guys learn how to use to do a dashboard so that it becomes much simpler, right? So the first thing is knowing what a dashboard is, right? Now, the nice thing with the dashboard is that it's got interactive elements as well. And, you know, that's something like where you can go from one year to the next year, where you can just have interactive elements on your dashboard, and it doesn't really be very difficult for you to do that, right? It's actually quite a simple thing to navigate through. The only main issue is, you know, when it really comes to your formatting, you need to make sure that your formatting is on point and that your formatting is correct. And at the end of the day, you know, just making sure that everything is in a tabular format before you start. So now the next thing I'm going to ask you guys, right, again, is theory, right? Why would we use a dashboard compared to just having a normal table in Excel? Because I'm assuming that you guys don't use dashboards typically, right? That was like my introductory question. So why would we use a dashboard? When would we use a dashboard? Can any of you, just from the top of your head, think of a reason? Any of you want to
I
guess? Yeah, Betty?
Can I guess?
Yeah, please, by all means.
Like for university, school, people that work, I don't know, maybe those are the obviously people that can use it.
Okay, they
I think.
would. Yeah, no, they definitely would, but also, right? Basically anywhere where you've got data over various time periods, like sales data, purchases data, or data, like where we have sales in different categories, that kind of thing. This becomes very, very useful to have a dashboard. So you can use it like a sales dashboard to, for example, track your monthly sales against whatever your targets are supposed to be, or maybe your yearly sales against whatever those targets must be. We can, use the dashboard to identify what are your top paying or your top, highest selling products, or, how many repeat customers you have, and see how your performance has increased or decreased over various categories of products, various regions, that kind of thing, right? So that's just it in a nutshell, basically. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you guys a basic rundown of how a dashboard would typically look, and or well, not yet how it would look. We're going to sort of just do that step by step, though, but to really just get into that point. Okay, so let me just share my screen quickly. And then I will. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So now basically, so I'm going to start off with the data that I've got over here, right? So now I've got this Excel workbook. I will upload this for you guys to practice on as well. So you guys will have access to it. And with this Excel workbook, you can see, or worksheet, you can see that we've got sales data of, per year. We've got various categories, various products, and a rating basically for this as well, right? So obviously, if you wanted to use data analytics to analyze all of this, it can get very, very cumbersome, because look how many variables we have, right? In one column, we've got 3 different variables over here for the year, right? In the next column, look at how many stuff we've got already, right? So it becomes cumbersome to use traditional data analytics methods. So the easiest way that we need to start doing this is you need to have something in a tabular format. But this doesn't mean that you actually have a table. To put this in a tabular format, you just click anywhere here in this data field, and then you go to insert, and then you click on table, or you can just click on Control+T. If you guys have attended any of my previous lectures or previous sessions, you'll know that I'm a very big fan of using your shortcut keys rather than, going through the whole long thing of navigating through the ribbon. And I would recommend that you, start learning your shortcut keys as much as you can, because this will save you time in the test or in the assessment. Okay, and definitely in the exam, I think you guys want to make sure that you are well ahead of the curve, and that you're not sitting at a position where you've run short on time. So nonetheless, you click on anywhere on this field where the data is, and then you'll say insert table. So we can click on that. And this will already have everything highlighted for us. Okay, so it'll automatically select the data there and create that as the range for the table. So here we can see that this is everything that we want. Definitely this is everything that we want. So that is fine and well. And then we'll say, okay, great. The range is fine. The next step is where you see that small little box over there that says my table has headers, basically meaning that my table has headings. if you click this box in, it generally will be pre-checked anyway. Then it'll read this as a heading. And then this is the outcome. Once you click on it, it's going to look like this. So you'll be able to filter for that. Okay. You guys with me so far? Any questions from your end? Thumbs up if you guys are fine at that point. Okay, so now that we've done that, right, it's still important to note several things, right, where your table needs to be cleaned a little bit, okay, and obviously formatted properly, right? So you need to make sure that all of these columns are formatted correctly and properly. So over here, this is supposed to be a rating as a percentage, right? So having the 0.1, 0.99, all of that, that is fine. It's not the end of the world. However, it is better to reformat this, right, into a percentage format. So to do that, you guys know how to do that. Just as a question, you guys know how to change the formatting of a cell to percentage and all of that. I'm going to show you anyway, but just to see where you guys are at. Thumbs up if you know, and if you don't know, then just give me like a shocked emoji reaction. Okay, so right, so then what you need to do is you need to highlight the cells for which you want to change the formatting. So we want to change the formatting for these cells over here, right, to a percentage. So now we highlight all of these right over there. Now you'll notice when we are on the home ribbon, right, when we come to the tab over here, right, it says general. We can just go and scroll to percentage and it will automatically convert everything into a percentage. Okay, so that's something that we need to note. Over here we have sales. These are supposed to be in rand values, right? But now we didn't specify it as such, right? So we want to put them in rand values. We don't need to go manually and go and put an R and do things in that way. All we need to do is highlight these cells, go to the column over here and select what we want, right? So not number, either currency or accounting will be the applicable one. So I'm just going to select currency, right? And then we can just neaten up the table like this, so that this is clear, that is clear, and that is clear. Okay, cool. So now our table looks a lot better, a lot neater, a lot more crisp. But again, that was just step one, where we're getting it into a tabular format. Now, the thing is that apart from getting it into a tabular format, now we can see that if we wanted to analyze the data, right, we could say, okay, for 2017, we're going to say we want to see the data for 2017 only. And now we're going to have the data for 2017 only. And then it's going to show me the data for, the different categories of products and then each individual product. So if I want to only look at accessories, for example, I can filter this, go to my accessories, and then I can see, okay, these are my accessories, and analyze data that way. Then if I wanted to look at bikes, I'd say, okay, I don't want to see my accessories now, I want to look at bikes. We can do it that way. And so the same example can be repeated for clothing and then components, right? I think you guys get the general idea. Okay, and obviously you can do this for each year that you have. Now the thing is that, would you guys agree that to show the data that way, or to analyzing it that way, is it not tiring to do it that way? Is it not like so super cumbersome to do things in that way. I mean, wouldn't you get tired? I mean, I'd get tired, right? To go through data in that. Surely there must be a simpler way. Because it's just not easy to do things in that way. Betsy, I think you unmuted yourself.
No, I was saying yes, I agree with you.
Okay, right. So perfect, right? So at the end of the day, it comes down to, now we need to look at how do we simplify this? So one of the ways in which we could simplify it, we could have a separate table for 2017 and then 2018, 2019, and then, go through it that way. But the easiest example or the easiest way of doing it is to create a pivot table and, create a dashboard using that. So to create a pivot table, what you do is you would click in the table that you have. Okay, you go to insert, and then you will see it says your pivot charts, and then you can say chart or chart and table. So we're gonna just click on the pivot chart and the table. And the table range will already be selected for you, and it's already given there, so that's fine. And then you can choose whether you want to open it in a new workbook or the existing worksheet or in a new worksheet. I wouldn't recommend that you keep it in the existing worksheet. So it's always better to open it in a new worksheet. So you can just click on OK over there, and you'll see this is what your screen will look like. Okay. Now at this point, there's no data in here, and obviously, how do we start getting our chart to start looking more like a dashboard and more like an interactive element? So what we would do is the pivot charts field over here, right, is where we can start selecting and adding our information, right? So all of these boxes over here, you would have noticed, are unchecked, right? And these boxes are exactly the same boxes that come in the table. That's something you must, just keep an eye out for. So let's say I want my table to show me everything, right? I don't just, I don't only want to see the year or, certain elements. I want to see every single thing, right? So basically then what happens is that you just need to go to the checkbox and then start clicking on check on each checkbox. Now I don't know what's happened to my mouse. It's not showing. Let me see, where's my cursor gone? I don't know why that's happening. Okay, there we go. Right, so we go to the this box over here, and you start checking each one of these things, and just notice what's going to happen, right? The moment I click that, suddenly I've got one column. Then I've got the categories being populated. Then I've got the products being populated, right? And then I can keep on going until everything is there, the sales, and then the rating. Okay. And then from this, you can see that I've got the information here on my left-hand side, and it's translating into the information over here on the pivot chart that you see right here. Okay, let me just break there for a moment. You guys with me so far on that? So we're not going to start manipulating too much in the field at this point in time. The main thing is that you guys do just understand, okay, this is how we get to this point here, so that we can see how, to start building up the elements. For the year, what is normally a very good idea is to have a slicers. So I would say add a slicer. And then I'll have an interactive element over there for the year. Okay. So basically then what we will do is we will take this. We can move this just to make it a little bit neater. And right. So now how many of you know what the purpose of this splicer is exactly? Any of you know? Shock reaction if you don't know, but do any of you know what the purpose of that? Okay, you don't know, right? So basically this, remember we were saying that there's data for how many years? There's data for 3 years, right? So it's very messy. Can you, I mean, you can, let's think about it, right? If I had to have data for 3 years with all of these categories and products and all of that, it would be insane to go through all of this, right? So the splicer over here basically says, when I click on this, I'll only get 2017's data. When I click on this, I will get the data for 2018. Do you see? This is where the interactive element comes in with your dashboard. When I click on that, I'm going to get 2019 as the, showing all of the data for that. And you can do that with basically every single element that is there. You don't only need to be, the year is the most common one, but obviously just pay attention in your examples, as to, where your splicer needs to be or should be. If it is specified as such, then you just, go ahead with it in that fashion. And, you add it. So maybe in your example, they might say the, category of the products must be, shown as a splicer. That's fine. I think that because this is an interactive element. So this, I think your assessment would be quite specific. I would expect that they would specify something. If they don't, then I think the year being, the interactive element on this regard is a good idea. But do you see how this whole thing already starts taking shape, where our data can change year on year? And obviously, as I said, we can always, when we click on the pivot table, we can add a splicer, for a different, category as well. So if you wanted to add category over here, let me just do that. Now how to move that. If you have to click on accessories, it's going to show that accessories based on the year, but it's going to be just for accessories showing these as variables and so forth and so on. Okay, so that's just giving you a rough idea as to the types of splices that you can get. But I would only keep it as the year. I think that makes the most sense, overall. Then an important thing to also take note of is when we look at the chart. Obviously the chart has certain elements where the chart is pretty big, right? So this plus sign over there is what we can also start using to just start, adding a bit more to the chart and just customizing it a little bit. So for example, if we click on axes, if we disable that, then that's how the chart will look. So obviously axes do need to be there. Titles for your axes, meaning that you can have a title for this to say, type of product, category of product, or yada, 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 that kind of thing. A title for your chart, if you want to add, that's where you will add it. Data labels. This is basically just giving the amount, because when you don't have the label, you can't really see what the amount is exactly, right? So when you have a data label, then it actually gives that, but it can get very messy as well. So, this one, take it with a pinch of salt. If you just don't have too much data, then it's a good idea. But if you have a lot of data, I wouldn't advise that you use data labels. Error bars as well, not something to really worry about, but you can get, just showing where the error bars would appear. if you did choose to have them, right? Grid lines are there. If you just decide to disable it, that's just going to change the look and feel of your charts. The legend should be there. If you take the legend out, then it becomes a little bit more difficult to actually interpret what it means. So the legend should be there, right? And that's basically it. So this is, your dashboard, how you would create it in a nutshell. Okay, and at a basic level, but it's a good enough level to understand. So do you guys have any questions on this?
No, from my side.
Okay. And what about our other colleague over here? Do you have any questions on your end?
No, I don't have any question.
Okay. So this is where I'm going to cap the lesson off, right? At this point, so I will upload the lesson together with the Excel file. The main thing is that you guys start practicing this and getting the, point to see whether you can do your formatting, whether you can do your, chart to look like this. But also, guys, please don't forget about the theory. I have, seen a little bit in the group, a lot of students are focused more on the assessment, which is fine. I mean, that makes sense. I'm not disputing that at all, but the last thing that you want is that the exam comes through, right? And you've got this whole chunk of theory that you haven't yet gotten to. And, just as a word of advice, you don't have to know it verbatim, but the thing is, as long as you do have a sound understanding of it, that will be good enough for you guys to at least start building your knowledge up and to start understanding it. Okay. So if you guys don't have any further questions, then you guys are free to leave. We can call it a lesson there. If you guys have any further questions, you are more than welcome to then WhatsApp me and say, I'm getting stuck here. I don't understand this. This is not making sense to me. This is not computing on my end, or whatever the case is, where am I going wrong? But the main thing with this is practice, 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 practice.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you guys so much for attending then, and then I will keep you guys updated. I will try and have a lesson again during the week, but generally Sundays are when we have the AIN lessons and AUE. But, like I said, just keep practicing. Anytime you get stuck, you don't have to wait until we have a lesson. You're more than welcome to reach out and say, look, can you have a look at my pivot chart or whatever, it's not making sense, and I'll be more than happy to assist you in that regard. Okay. But other than that, thank you guys for attending so much. Enjoy what's the rest of your Sunday and your weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next lesson.